year, and you know people in festive season go crazy. So you just kind of, I'm not going to have enough to meet the demand in festive season unless I pull up my socks and make something happen, And that's kind of how I thought it. But it was tough. I remember suppliers thinking I was mad. Like, what are you doing with this? Like, it's going to be too much. It's going to be crazy.
Did they not know the product?
No. So, I mean, there was huge demand for the product, but in terms of the suppliers in Mexico that I was dealing with, they were very happy, but they were like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to fulfill these orders, etc.? And I was like, let's go for it. I mean, and to answer your question on there, I think I've got a big risk for appetite. Appetite for risk, sorry.
Got a big risk for appetite.
I've got a big appetite for risk. I like taking chances. I'm young. So, I really wanted to give it a go. I could have lost everything I had because I had invested everything now into tequila. We put an order in for a full container, which is a couple thousand bottles. And this was of 1942 Don Julio. It's not even the small bottle. This is we were selling these to the retailers for 6,000 Rand a bottle. And the retailers were selling it for 8-9, and then the clubs were selling it for 18,000 Rand a bottle.
Yeah. I told you it's expensive.
Yeah. And it arrived here, when I tell you, I swear, 7 days before New Year's. And I was sweating because I had missed already before Christmas season. I'd missed Christmas season, and I was sweating because now I've got, 6,000-7,000 bottles to sell. And how am I going to sell it? New Year's is the last big bash, I think, that I could make it work.
Sure.
And I literally went with different cars, and we went hotel to hotel in Cape Town. We sold to every single hotel. We sold to every single nightclub. We sold to nightclubs in Pretoria, Midrand, Sandton. We sold to Johnny's Liquor, Pick and Pay, Macro. Everyone was just getting their hands on this bottle, because they didn't, even if it didn't sell in the festive season, they wanted to have it in January. It was that type of a bottle. And we sold out first thing. And that was like the Don Julio story, which was unbelievable and exciting. Got to see a whole new world and crazy things, good things, bad things.
But in all of those things, you had people that were working for you and you were working with, right?
The tequila side was more informal than people think. It was probably a driver, myself, and someone who helped me with the accounting side. That's how.
And you sold thousands of bottles.
Thousands of bottles, like thousands. Like really thousands. I had all the distributors in the country, like a Norman Goodfellas and a Johnny's Liquor, which are massive.
Yeah.
They supply thousands of shebeens, restaurants, bars, clubs, and they were so irritated by me. Like, how's this kid doing this? They wanted.
You say it's common sense.
Yes.
Right? You'd be surprised how not so common actually it is. Because if it was common sense, we would all be doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So, when it comes to how you look at a market, starting small from one pair of sneaker or 1 or 6 bottles of Don Julio or the first store, what goes on in your mind? What is the big picture that you see? I want to understand that.
I'm a huge dreamer. So when I start off, I always dream of that thousands of bottles. But I do follow the process. I start off with that 6 bottles. I keep trying and I never give up. Both with the sneakers and the tequila, I got turned back hundreds of times. People thought I was mad. People thought it was a crazy idea. People didn't believe in it. People, kept on saying, no. I kept on hearing, no, we're not buying this. We're not doing that. You don't have a liquor license. You're too young. You're this, you're that. And eventually I said, okay, you know what? If I don't have a liquor license, I'll get one. If I don't have an importer's license, I'll get one. And I never accepted the word no. And I tried over and over again to make it possible, and I never gave up. And whether it be till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, figuring out a plan. And yes, it seems very complicated, but I tried, and I really believe this, and I've said this on a few other interviews I've had, is that if I can do it, anyone in South Africa can do it. I know, it may seem not, and it's impossible, but I promise you it can be done. Someone who I really look up to is Black Coffee, the DJ who I've done some work with, and, we've done a lot of cool stuff together. And
was he part of the launch when you launched the store?
He was. So we'll get on to that. And he's the perfect example of someone who came not from the best background. He was born locally. And I think he's the perfect representation of the South African dream. He's now, we don't even realize as South Africans how big he is internationally.
It's big.
Nati is as big as you get. I promise you. He can phone up any celebrity. He can play with any celebrity. And he comes from right here. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if he can do it, anyone can. And that's what I believe with myself too. That's what I looked at.
So from being the guy that's distributing stuff alone, how do you transition to being a businessman that's now building businesses?
Yeah. So, I mean, after that Don Julio craze that we just spoke about, Don Julio saw this kid doing what he was doing in South Africa, and they actually were like, nah, we got to come to South Africa directly. And I got cut out. Okay. And now they came to the country. There was just Don Julio everywhere. You go into any top spa, you
You're
go
not
into
signed
any blue
a
bottles.
licensing agreement.
Not just yet, because they were not sure if they wanted to give it. They always clever, they want to, see if it makes sense for them to come to the country. So they started bringing it in directly, and this place was just full of Don Julio, and I was like, oh no, man, I missed out. I had my fun, and everyone was like, bro, you did so well, boy, you did so well. Just, pat yourself on the back. It's done. Your day's over. And again, I said, no, it's not. And met with a couple other friends and went back to this.
You made the comrades buy Slay Queen's Don Julio. they finished the man, chief.
Yeah.
The PPE money during COVID
came to me. Well, the tender money comes to me now for sneakers. So I love the government, guys. Yeah, we balance it out as well. So I went back to this friend mentor of mine, and I said to him, like, what do I do? And he said, you know what? Why don't you make your own tequila brand? And I was like, no, bro, you wanted me to sell tequila. I did that. It was nearly impossible. Now you want me to go and make my own tequila brand. Another level. And then again, left that coffee with him or whatever it was, and it started ticking in my brain. No, maybe it's not such a bad idea.
Yeah.
And
so the friend is also your mentor.
Exactly. And for the next year, so 2021 ended, for the next year of 2022, I was like, I want to make my own tequila brand. And it took months of meeting with the right people. And I found a guy who was in a common circle. He grew up in the same type of neighborhood of me, and he had done really well in the business sector. And he was interested in also doing a tequila brand, I heard through the grapevine. And I went and I approached him, and I was like, let's do it together. And, he's a busy, successful man. He was like, yes, cool, amazing, let's do it. And it took me 6 months to get like something done with this guy. And eventually we found that, there was difficulties in making your own brand, but we could sign a deal with a brand and invest in that brand and bring it to the country. And that's where 411 Distributors was born. And we brought in Tequila Ocho into the country. And it was new for me. It was crazy. It was difficult because I was used to selling the biggest and best brands. So people were begging me for Don Julio. You'd have Macro phoning me up asking for Don Julio. Now,
give them something else.
Give them something else that they don't know. Teach the market something. It was so tough. You don't even understand how tough it was. No one wanted this stuff. We had brought it in. We had done. It had a nice bottle. We brought it into South Africa. We had thousands of bottles, and I was like, oh yeah, sweet. Let's go sell it again. Just like I had in the past experiences. People did not want this. We eventually got it onto the shelves in the same place I had sold before, which was tough. People didn't want this new tequila. We have enough tequilas. We've got the big brands. We got it onto the shelves, and now I was like, yeah, we got it on the shelves. So it's in Macro, it's in Pick and Pay, it's in Spa, Blue Bottle Liquor, Norman Goodlet's. Well, now we're done. The hard work's done. It sat on those shelves for months. No one bought it. And I had